cicada doesn't sound like a chronic female.
Okie dokie. We are recording.
Hola!
Hello.
We need to turn off this music before we get copyrighted.
Don't worry, there's no music coming through your stuff.
There's a Jackie thing. Okay, I'm not gonna use that engine. Orc. He's not an orc. He's also not an elf. Lil mode? Lil mode. Where's my headset? The preparations.
Alright then.
We call it Preparation 8.
Alright then. Okay. Ugh, throat. Anyways. Okay. Okay, so when we're gonna post this, I'll catch everyone up who would be listening. 2 sessions ago, the only player that showed up for that session, Maki, had left his village to go to a nearby town. Met some nice people, and end up bumping into a bunch of adventurers who end up heading for his little town. On his way, he bought some fruits, specialized roots that can absorb water, and nearly got his bag of food or gems. Oh, forgot. Maki is a kobold. And nearly got his stuff stolen by a stuffed animal. He was given a stuffed animal by a little girl. Let's see. And last session we introduced to our new player, Cicada.
Hola!
Hey there.
A paladin who trusts children to crazy degrees.
My children. I'm also a dragonborn. That's important. There's a lot of dragons here.
Not a reptilian folk.
Right. And unfortunately, when Maki returned home, only to find his home in shambles and everyone missing. Maki returned to the town, bloodthirsty, but ended up just getting incapacitated by... please excuse me for 1 sec. Morgan, you cannot turn that on because the sound's just gonna come over the mic.
Also, I'm
You
sorry
cannot
if I
turn
seem
anything
like
on. It has
a
to be
psycho
quiet.
when it comes to how I talk. I'm riddled with ADHD today.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm back.
And don't worry about the whole babysitting thing. Don't worry about the whole babysitting thing. I'm also babysitting my dog.
All
We
right.
just got him fixed, and he's wearing the cone of shame right now.
Oh, poor baby.
All right.
Yeah.
And thanks to
And
a
he's a big
couple
dog. He
other
just keeps
events,
bumping
including
into us.
Maki running off, and Cicada and the bartender at the local inn following to make sure he doesn't end up dead. And this is where we start off. Heading on the road heading nowhere, just wandering. Tell me, Maki, Cicada, is there anything y'all would like to talk about during this time?
Well, last I remember, Cicada gave Maki his, what's it called? It's the thing... Not cape. It's not a cape. It's religious garb. His vestment. And so that he doesn't,
What is that called?
blind himself.
No, it's something. Yeah.
And in turn, Maki kind of went... So it's
Right.
kind of just Cicada awake right now with the bartender.
All right. While Maki is still asleep, The woman leans back from the front and says to Cicada, "So, where are you from, anyways? You don't see many dragonborn around here."
I'm from a village over in a rainforest somewhere. I've been traveling for so long that I can't remember.
Huh. Rainforests. I mean, I've heard about them. Never really seen them before.
Very damp, lots of lush green, but also lots of poison. I would not suggest eating the frogs.
Heh. I wouldn't really think about it either way. As the sun goes down and the hot sand becomes cool, and the creatures of the desert begins to come out. Would the bartender turns around and asks, "So, would y'all like to stop here, rest up for the day, or would y'all like to continue going?"
Oh, it is better to travel at night. Mm, Desert hot during day, easier seeing during night. But you might not. Maki Maki has never driven cow before.
Were there nothing different than camel, I'm sure.
Never drove anything before. Mm.
Ah,
Unless you count running on Boulder.
that is impressive.
The bartender turns around and says, "But hold on, riding a boulder?"
Running on Boulder.
Huh.
Maki Maki did not want to fall or get squished. Had to run on it till it hit a wall and stopped.
You must tell me about that story.
Passed out and had to heal.
Like that, you're like that Canadian log rolling competition. You just
Uh, Pretty much. But with a boulder to crush anybody in the path.
somebody stop me and get out of my way.
Yeah. Maki Maki's first trap was not a good one. Maki Maki's first trap was not a good one. Maki Maki will just tell you that.
Take you on your word.
In the mean, as y'all continue wander the night, you see many creatures. Giant scorpions, many different types of pigs, a couple sandworms, but nothing too crazy. Most of them stray away from the caravan.
Quite an array of things.
Mm, Maki Maki only remembered to bring a lot of gravel this time. There wasn't any pricey stuff in case he needed to trade. So, gravel for me. You guys eat gravel, right?
Not exactly.
Oh, I guess gravel just for me. Takes out a handful of gravel and just kind of shoves it in the mouth.
The bartender watches as you scarf down the handful of gravel, and she just says, "Well, you sure aren't low on your grit." Get it? Grit? And that's why.
Maki no one. But I think there was some flint mixed in with that gravel.
You might not want to strike it with any iron then.
No crunching any steel for bedtime. Yeah, probably. Okay. So, anyone have a map? I know if we keep heading north, something will happen, but yeah.
I thought you had the map. The bartender says.
I bought no map.
So we're just going mapless. Okay.
As y'all get closer and closer, y'all then see something strange up ahead. It's not that big. It's not a town. There's very little light coming from it, but there is still some light. Would y'all like to go toward it?
Look at that civilization.
I see. So,
Yes,
as y'all
please,
move
Captain.
forward to it, and y'all get closer and closer, y'all realize out of the strangest thing, it is a ship. A small ship, a ship nonetheless.
What in the...
And indeed, there is a lantern glow coming from within it.
Is it normal for ships to just randomly appear in the middle of the desert?
The the bartender sits up and gets out of the wagon and begins walking to it. Well, yes and no. Yes, in the fact that sometimes ships can be buried here over sand, and great storms can brush the sand away, exposing them. But also no, in the fact that magic usually doesn't send ships out in the middle of the desert. She walks into it, and you just hear a one large you coming from within it.
That is my cue to get out of this and go there. And I do. What the heck? What? A tongue tied. he he jumps down, gets his vestman, swings it over his shoulder, and goes over.
Once you enter, you see the bartender looking at um. What's your player name again?
Alzar Shamir.
Ah,
That's gonna be hard
He's
to
a
remember.
How far?
Alzar
Good. How
Shamir.
far? Shamir.
Alvar, Alvar.
wait.
I got it printed up on the character sheet. You'll be able to see it later. He's a stout halfling. Bit of a grizzled look. Chef garments.
What is with Cicada and meeting small races?
He's got a bit of a bandages on his hands. Kind of looks like he's got kind of some scarring on it, cuts around his arms, burns on his hands, old ones, and seems to have a peg leg as well.
Why aren't you interesting?
Yeah, it's me. What do you want now, bartender?
Just seeing if there was any civilization. It's good to see you.
Oh, really? Because last time we saw each other, you seemed to have some issue with what my culinary options were.
I'm glad to see you're alive. I didn't say I was glad to see your food again.
Everyone's a critic, and everyone needs a mouth to feed. You start telling
Your food
You
was so
do
sick.
not.
Not even the sandworms are willing to eat it.
Okay,
I'd give it a try.
Oh Jesus! When did you get out of the cabin thing?
oh, well, someone actually has a willing to interest in trying new things. Thank you very much. Hey,
We
look, I
better.
got a couple. You really? I got a couple of rat rolls. If you want?
Ooh, delicacy.
Would you like it? Would you like them bloody or meat filled?
Mm, bloody today.
All right, look. And he kind of reaches into his bag and he pulls out a what looks like a bread roll in the shape of a rat. You know, golden toasted and whatnot. That little what are they called? Close eyes in the nose kind of shape. And if he takes a bite inside of it, he'll notice it's actually jelly filled with strawberries.
I could just imagine that, and that was the most adorable picture that I got in my mind all day.
But no, he apparently
Um,
doesn't like these kind of delicacies in the desert.
Just halfway through it, offers it to the dragonborn.
Which Cicada does take it and takes a bite, just like, not bad.
The bartender looks
And he
at
just
y'all
puts
and
the rest of it
says,
in it, and he just shoves the rest of it in his mouth.
the bartender proceeds to go over to the window as you hear large amounts of vomit splattering on the sand. She leans back in,
Come on,
panting,
it's
and
even better.
says, both of y'all are either extremely starved or have never eaten a proper meal in your lives.
I mean, to be fair, the closest thing to a proper meal I've ever had was in Grubs.
Grubs are actually good protein.
Agreed.
She stands up and
Just kind of hot.
she stands up with her hands behind her back and walks over to the kitchen and says, well, I do agree on that part. Grubs would be better than this. Would y'all like a real meal?
I'll take that.
Oh, child.
Hmm?
So would that be a
Okay.
yes
You're just gonna fall
or
apart.
I'm feeling a little full.
I could do for a bit more food. After all, it appears I am the tallest of the group here. Why do I always meet child-sized creatures?
What are you calling child size? Or at least adolescent.
Just as a little like perspective, Cicada's 6'1".
Well, he's a
Yeah,
stout half. He's a stout halfling. You know, most of it comes in his weight. And very.
the bartender turns toward the halfling. Although I'm still one of honor, would it be okay if I use your kitchen?
There's a bit of an eye twitch that goes onto it. You know, fine. I'll let you use my kitchen, but let me know I'm gonna have to just really, really clean it off with it. And don't bring any freaking wood into my kitchen. All right? No wood. You know how I feel about that.
He,
you
she simply
don't
sighs
like
and
what?
says, fine, no wood.
To supervise them, so you're not chip any of my knives.
As she goes back to the caravan and grabs a couple things, including some fruit roots, some meats, and some coal. She lights the fire and begins
So,
cooking.
I never met a feathered kobold before.
A what kobold?
A feathered one?
Feathered. I ain't feathered. I'm not even a kobold. I'm a stout halfling.
Wait. Which one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. There's
That's right.
two characters. Captain Rainbow Beard Cupcake Massa Hall.
Oh no, that's it's a different character. I'm
Yeah,
playing
that's
as
a
the
different character.
sorry.
Lazar Shimmy, sorry.
That's right.
It's like mm, mm. Oh, sorry, must just be the heat getting to me.
Yeah, you're definitely a little more need some protein in your diet, man, if you're definitely screwing up like that.
Mm.
Speaking of protein, the bartender interrupts, serving four plates of a delicious meal. Cooked up pork chops with a delicious toasted bread crumble on them, along with filleted root fruits.
I need to roll something. Give me a second. Okay. He takes a bite of the food and immediately runs to the window, spitting it out.
And during the entirety of that time, the bartender simply stares at you before turning back to the kobold and the halfling and saying, "So,
Good food is good food. It's not burnt. It's not poison. Still good.
Yeah, he kind of Al reluctantly eats the food as well. Just just something, but all right, no opinions.
see," the bartender says, "that is how you make good food. Not sure what you would usually eat, though." He looks toward the
Again,
dragonborn as he
semantics
said
again.
this. She.
Usually not something that vile.
Sh- the bartender looks at her with a slight scowl
Him,
and says,
the kid
"I
is a
do
guy.
not
I know
make
that. I know
anything
he's got a
vile."
chronic female voice.
All right.
As
I'm tempted to just say that they have very low testosterone at this point.
Just
as
have eaten everything and
the second the second she had said that, you hear little pitter patters of feet and a small child walking in, holding a stuffed animal of a knight.
All right, I brought the child. Nearly forgot about that.
The child looks around for a second and walks up to one of the plates and simply sits there for a second.
You hungry, kid? I got a little leftovers.
The child simply nods a little slowly.
I pass over a little bit of my plate.
She takes one bite and immediately puckers up, eating it like a rabid hyena on a carcass. She finished it really quickly. She
Don't do it so fast, kid. Give your stomach some time to expand.
Once she finishes, she goes over to the halfling and says in a small timid voice, "Thank you."
What happened? You lose?
So, what is your name, halfling?
Well, my name?
Yes,
My name is Al Shamir. You can call me Al. That's too hard for your dialect.
alright, Al. Pleasure
My name
meeting
is
you.
Maki Maki. You can call me Maki.
Well, hi,
I am.
Maki.
You can call me Cicada. Like the insect. I know it is weird.
So, you know where any towns are? Because so far we were just kind of heading north to find a town.
So was I until circumstances prevented me from doing that.
Well, we have a caravan.
Mind if I join up with you at the very least?
I wouldn't mind if I did.
Why not?
Fudge round. Because of fudge round. Please. The little girl tugs on Cicada's uh, armor. Yeah, armor.
But she looks down. Yes, little one?
The child looks up and points to outside. Do you look?
He looks.
You see that the sun is beginning to rise.
We might want to move soon if we want to beat the heat. Nights seem to last very shortly here.
The bartender simply sighs and says, So, short stack, you coming with us or not?
You should have said that.
And he's just kind of like, fumbling with one of his chef's knives. He just kind of glare out. Like, oh, sure. I'd be glad to if you'll have me. Thank you very much. He just puts it back in his waistband.
The bartender simply sighs and walks out of the shipwreck and gets on the caravan, with right alongside her being the small child.
Cicada followed not long after, mainly keeping close to the kid that he brought.
And following. Go on, just like, so, you got any scrap that we could take along with us? Like gravel, granite, scrap iron.
Well, I don't know. You can feel free to look around the ship itself. I got it for a decent price, but turns out I get what I paid for.
Okay. And her in there, just kind of rifling around, and looking through any in all different stuff to find any nails, those that have already came out, some scrap iron, some broken plates even.
As you're searching, you see the little girl walk in and actually help you looking. She brings you a couple pieces of wood, even a broken sword that's been split in two.
Ooh, I can use this. Thank you very much.
You see a warm smile come across her face as she looks around. She then asks, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Him. Sorry.
You eat you eat rocks, right?
Yeah, I can also eat normal things, but rocks are pretty good too.
She bends down and actually pulls up a hand of sand. I heard from a merchant that sand is just small rocks. Can you eat sand?
It, it's a little bland to me, but yeah.
Cool.
I think it'd be like eating flour.
More like actually eating dirt, but rougher.
Eat some water. Puff of dust just comes puffing out of his mouth.
A dog just came out of nowhere. Ow! Oh,
All right.
man, buddy.
Well,
You f-
Oh,
the
I
your
just
lo-
kept.
claws are like needles.
as you're looking with the help from the little girl, you find several pieces of steel, mostly nails. In fact, it's all nails. Besides the broken sword, you mostly just find nails. A whole lot of them too.
The only thing that didn't break on the ship were the nails that held it together. Not so well, apparently.
And just like coming back with a whole bunch of nails, just like I can turn this into things.
All right. Always love a craft.
Mm. Oh, and here,
Oh.
you can hold Betty for a little bit. Gives him my hand crossbow.
Ooh. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, what's your story?
Yeah. Well, mostly I'm just kind of wandering around, trying to get out some good dishes and just kind of seeing the world for a bit. You know,
As you
keep my
begin
nose
to
clean and
speak,
all that.
sorry. As you begin to speak, the bartender gets moving again as the carriage begins moving before the sun. Many of the animals scurry, hide in their burrows, and many of the giant sandworms and scorpions bury themselves in the sand.
Mm.
You know, if we ever found the time, I could always just like cook up a nice hot pot of giant scorpion if we ever have to cleanse him.
Ooh, well, we got a cocktail bit. It's because scorpions are illegal poison.
Oh yeah, but you just got to cut off the tail pot. You know, I mean, it's poisonous if it's not essentially poisonous if you eat it. It just makes you sick.
Mm, I guess it's only poisonous when they stab you like 10 times.
That could probably be part of it.
The
Just
bartender
don't get
pops
stabbed to it
in.
10 times.
The bartender pops in and says, Before I settled down, I used to travel a whole lot. In one town, scorpions were out the wazoo. They had scorpion soup, scorpion popsicles. They had scorpion lollipops with scorpions encased in candy.
Mm.
Yeah, remember
That's the
those.
most
Those are
appetizing
pretty
thing
cool.
that you said this entire time.
It's a charming little delicacy if you haven't.
Surprisingly, yes.
Eh, I can't
What?
wait to try this new thing called candy. Is it like a weapon?
It
Yeah.
can be if sharp enough. Think of it more like a sweet treat. Something
It
like
can
a
be if you give it to a diabetic.
what is a diabetic?
Someone that wastes away without with or without eating food.
Yeah, kind of like you die. I bet it.
You
All right.
Yeah, crickets, crickets.
you hear the bartender
Well,
mutter something before continuing. All right. By the way, Shorty, got a map?
I happen to do not. That's the one thing that blew away when the crash landed.
Eh, great. The,
um,
you see the little girl tap.
honey,
You see the little girl tap the bartender's arms and gives her a rolled up piece of paper. She opens it, and before y'all can say anything, she simply yells, "Yahoo! Yeah!"
Did the little one give you a picture of something?
She turns
is
around
it
and says,
blueprints?
"Better," and proceeds to show a map of the, although not of the globe, although it is still a large area. Ah! Oh,
What's
an
this
actual
globe?
map. Oh, thank goodness, I thought we were going to be lost here.
You have dogs in the background.
She
Little one,
leans
where
over
did
to the
you get
little
that
girl
map?
and says, "So where'd you get this?" The little girl
That was
seems
a
hesitant at first before saying, "I, a merchant dropped it on his way out of the town. I just picked it up and kept it in case if anybody needed it."
Well, finders keepers.
No finders keepers.
Finders keepers.
Well, possession is 9/10 the law.
I'm surrounded by criminals.
What? No. What give you that impression? No. Of course not.
Next time, little one, maybe return what you find on the floor to the owner.
She shakes her head. "I couldn't. He was already riding out on a camel by the time I saw it fly away."
Ah, well, next time something like that happens, you have to use your voice to emphasize you found something of theirs, okay?
When when you say use your voice, you see her going to her head. It's only one hand, almost looks like she's covering it or trying to bury something almost. She, she just nods slowly and goes to the back of the caravan and plays with her doll.
Wonder if I could
Alright,
make a perception check
Go
on the
ahead.
little girl. See what she was trying to cover up. All right. Let's see. Where is that? Perception. You can't scratch yourself when you got the cone on your head, boy. And that's going to be a 12.
Although you couldn't see much, you could have sworn you saw a stitch, but it was hard to tell.
Stitches.
Perhaps it was just a strand of hair. Would certainly seem almost alike.
Okay.
I think my
Boy.
dog is trying to kill.
Come here, boy. Come here. Yes. Hey, rest your head in direction. He's just big clumsy with this big cone on his head. Doesn't have any perception yet.
My dogs never have perception.
That's perception.
If you have that, you'll never know. All right, sorry.
Right. Right. After 2 hours, the sun's finally in the sky and bearing down. The sand is scorching hot. The cattle are getting tired and are getting slower. And everything is either hiding or under any shade that they can find.
Let's see what we got.
Sure. Can, can I see the map?
The bartender passes the map back. Just make sure you don't need it, alright?
Okay. Just kind of starts reading. Like, okay, so.
The map
God damn.
the map mostly shows a ridiculously large desert with small towns marked in the middle, one large town little bit further out of the middle, and a couple neighboring countries, although it's only their outskirts because of the extremely large area of the desert.
So, what was the town that we were in?
The bartender leans
Village
back.
thingy?
The bartender leans back and says, "Oh, that old thing? It was Chugwa."